Today we have our guest, Mr. Ajit Gulabchand ji, the president of CFI and the chairman of Hindustan Construction Company. Thank you for joining in, sir. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Tell me.
So please talk to us about the partnership with Bauma Expo.
You know, when we talk of construction industry, we normally talk of the contractors, concessionaires. But it's much bigger than that. Behind the construction are not only construction companies, but equipment makers and suppliers, material makers and suppliers, designers of all kinds, tools like BIM, etc., producers in software, digitization companies that help us, companies that make drones that help us to plot and make projects. So there's a whole back industry behind it, which is very big and visible. While we are meeting them, they talk about it. In fact, good amount of productivity of construction industry has been brought about by developments made by the equipment makers. So we thought that we have now come of age that the infrastructure India needs to build is really enormous. Whatever grand announcements that the Prime Minister might make, and they look too grand, will look small tomorrow. Because don't forget, the task is not just building infrastructure that will improve the productivity of 1.4 billion people.
Every sector.
If you build as much money as you want, if you spend on infrastructure that America has done, then for America it is wonderful. But for India, you have to divide it by 4 times bigger population. So when you come to that, you'll realize it's very important. Second is a more collaborative approach to finding answers. Today, equipment says, I have improved my equipment, it will now do better this much. Now we also want to ask, look, I want to build a dam in 5 years from now at 40% less time required. Can you create an equipment that will work that faster? Can you make it a little bigger, but not too big that I cannot handle it? There are similar such, just an example of ideas that can be given, and the industry will work on it. Circular economy, where they will work something green, and we will say, if you produce this equipment in 10 years, we'll buy 20 cranes from you. So you get committed. So they are committed that you will buy. They will invest in the green technology. So many such collaborations are possible. We thought that Bauma, which brings all the equipment makers together. You can see today, this year itself, every stall I visited at the Bauma had one electrical equipment. Whether it's a huge crane, whether it's an excavator, whatever it is, whatever they were selling, one equipment out of that was electric. Now that doesn't mean things have gone electric everywhere, but this is the harbinger of what is to come. That this is the beginning. It is telling you that, and this is and the power of collaborating is to not just have individual dialogues in the procurement division of your company, but also on a general basis, what can the equipment industry do in material? So this has been the effort to make it and make us look who we really are. And don't look at this one contractor. This is what is behind him. And they all suffer if you don't do a fair deal. And if you want it done faster, safer, and cheaper, we need all these people to cooperate to make it happen. So that advocacy will improve. Collaboration between us and this whole supply chain will improve. So we certainly hope that this will result in much.
Can you elaborate more on sustainability?
Sustainability, see, there are things, we are discussing responsible infrastructure. So sustainability is the facility you're building that is designed by the client. That has to be sustainable in its own right. Then the method of construction we deploy, like simple techniques of net water surplus, using fly ash to reduce carbon emissions. All these issues also come into the way of while you're constructing it. And the constructed facility must also be sustainable or green. Yeah. So then using using tools like BIM and etc. or soil testing equipment, digitized equipment, that will give you a better idea of what is happening before you construct a tunnel. All these will help in the efficiency, and the efficiency will bring about some extra sustainability. So these various forms of sustainability, for want of a word, let's call the whole thing together responsible infrastructure.
Wonderfully.
Okay.
And India is becoming a manufacturing hub. So what's your message to them?
Who?
Startups.
Startups is a wonderful idea. Innovation, this tells you, doesn't just take place in the laboratories of large companies,
Sure.
but it's also taking places in the garages of some other people. And therefore, giving startups an opportunity to add to your innovation plans is a wonderful idea. How the whole ecosystem will work still requires understanding. Out of the many startups that are there, only 10% survive, 5 to 10. Venture capitalists are the best people to judge how to invest here, because they know how to make money from that one person who works. And there's a bonanza if 2 do out of 10. But they know what to do. So startups have another side that while they're eager, they produce something new, they don't have the business experience. So they can go down the wrong way. And they can make mistakes that finally bring everything down. So first you must be prepared that 80 to 90% of the startups will fail, and that they don't cry fraud, because your community will immediately cry fraud. Second is, create an ecosystem by which not government funding, but the funding comes to them by those who understand how to fund startups better. And third is, understand what we are trying to do here. We're trying to innovate. That failure is an integral part of that innovation process. And we must understand that. Once you know that, how to bring about a marriage of solid business practices to, he starts a company. You very innocuously start a company. Then he suddenly realizes the amount of SEBI rules he has to follow, amount of other things, and he suddenly doesn't match up to it. And things start going wrong. And too much is happening for that guy who doesn't know all this is required. We need to educate them. We need to see if we can create partnerships between existing senior businessmen to these younger people. And I hope this ecosystem will slowly develop and we will get there. Just now, it's a good sign that they exist and startups are wanting to come up. But I would caution you from expecting too much out of it so quickly. The ecosystem has still not developed. And so once it's developed, it will start giving you the contribution that you're seeking. Till then, be careful.
Yes, certainly. Thank you so much. Wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?